Welcome to the BigMoneyDetailer.com podcast. You're in the right place to discover the insider secrets to earn more so you can serve more. Here is your host, the founder of Big Money Detailer and also known as America's Chief Profit Officer, Davey Tyberski. Be sure to visit us at BigMoneyDetailer.com.
Hey, Big Money Detailers. Welcome to the Big Money Detailer podcast today. And today we're going 30,000 feet here, ladies and gentlemen. Guy is actually my first detailer that I've had on the Big Money Detailer podcast. And we looked at others, but we picked Guy out of the crowd because he does some very unique things in aviation. So Guy, are you ready to thrive and shine, brother?
Let's go, dude. Let's go.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so again, Big Money Detailers, welcome to the podcast today. Today's topic is going to be aviation. And Guy's got a very unique background. He's got some great stories to tell. And as always, it's not only, for your sake, not only to improve your knowledge, skills, and abilities with me and my team here at Big Money Detailer, but we love to bring guys, get this, like to bring guys on like Guy that can actually share some of his insider secrets of what he's doing in aviation. And obviously, we're going to model that a little bit for your auto car detailing business. So with that, Guy, first question, man, how'd you decide, take me way back, in your case, it's not that long ago, but take me way back to when you started detailing and kind of fill in those gaps for our listeners of how you got into detailing and now how you have transitioned into the aviation market. Go ahead.
Of course, man. So, I got into detailing when I was 15 years old. My dad essentially, took me off the couch and he told me that, I got to get a job, and I didn't want to get a job. And I was pretty comfortable just sitting at home, all summer long doing nothing, occasionally going to the pool or hanging out. But he just said, you got to get a job or, none of this lifestyle I was living was not going to get paid for, or, these things I was doing were not going to, be supported. So from there, I was just like, you know what, I'll get a job. And I was kind of prideful then. And I was like, you know what? I can't work for anyone. I got to start my own thing. And he gave me two options because, of course, he's got to tell me what to do and, the way I got to do it. And he told me that I had to have to start my own aircraft detailing company, or I'm going to go and become a line service tech, which is, the technicians that, fuel airplanes and, move them and such. And so I say, you know what? Cleaning sounds like it's an easy thing. Let's get into it. And, for the listeners out there that have detailed cars and have detailed airplanes or boats, whatever, they know that that's not true. It is very, very hard and it requires a lot of skill. So from there, I started, detailing, family cars, friends' cars, just kind of learning the processes, different chemicals, solutions, etc. And really from there, I kind of realized that, what I was learning on YouTube and the internet was not going to suffice. I really needed to go and get a expert to train me and really kind of show me what needed to be done. So I went with a local car detailer and as an apprentice, and he taught me how to detail cars, boats, and really also taught me how to market, showing me like the different marketing strategies and business tools needed to run an effective detailing company. So we went and, all summer long, whenever I had time between football practice and school, and I worked with them, and we did a lot of cool things. Had a lot of cool experiences, and a lot of it was, fundamental. And he helped me start my own company, and really helped me get set up when I was trying to, get my own brand. And
Sure.
That was an opportunity that I don't think I could. It was just so rare, no one really ever does that. And he helped me get stuff in aviation detailing, helped me learn how to structure conversations, how to actually, close deals and everything. And but yeah, that's really how I got started.
Yeah, well, that's a great answer. And again, here's the key teaching point for everyone. If you're listening to the Big Money Detailer podcast, you realize that, look, you can't do this alone. Being in detailing, like in Guy's case, whether it's aviation or like our son Dylan, who runs the Affluent Auto Spa here in San Antonio, it's a lonely world. And one of the key things that Guy said, and Guy, I'm going to come back with one follow-up and then we'll move to the next one.
Yeah.
One thing that Guy said here that's important is what was one of the first things he did, ladies and gentlemen. He did not try to figure it out on his own. He probably did for a while, and he went, it's like you should just beat your head against a brick wall. What he actually did is he sought out a mentor, somebody who's been there, done that. In my case, what I like to say is learn from people who've been there, done that, and still doing it today. Because sometimes when you learn from certain mentors, they've been there, done that, but that was 10 years ago. And as we know, right, Guy, the detailing industry changes almost monthly, if not daily in some cases. Lotions,
Yeah.
potions, chemicals, tools, regulations, insurance. I can go on and on about all that crazy stuff. That's why you have to
Yeah.
learn from the right mentor. So, Guy, congratulations on jumping on the right mentor. So, here's the question for you. If you had to go back and think, and Guy, we just met before the podcast, but I have my 1980s solar calculator right here. But if you
Yep.
had to take a calculator and estimate, just estimate in your on the calculator how much money you saved or how much frustration you saved by seeking out a mentor, what do you think that has been over the last X number of years for you? How much did you save or how much credibility did you save in your business because of that?
So I would look at that because though the person I work with is not my only mentor, I have my dad also there too, kind of both of them, which is great. And when I look at this, if I didn't have my dad, if I didn't have, the guy that was teaching me, I mean, I would be probably, I look at a matter of time, right? Because time is money. So I look at, how long would it take me to learn
Oh,
this without them?
yeah.
And I think that just kind of on this track, like I was on the track to to learn those information they're giving me, but I don't think I would have learned it as quick as I did with them being there.
Yeah.
So I think that I probably been 4, maybe 5 years,
Wow.
behind without them.
Wow.
So
So you
I
think you cut
mean,
your learning curve by 4 or 5 years, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's pretty darn good right there.
So I mean, you can do the math on that. I mean, but that's a that's a lot of time,
Yeah, right.
and that's a lot of more money down the drain. Being stuck in that one spot as well is like you're not making any more money or just losing money.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Time is money, like you said, man. It's definitely time is money is a big thing. But then also, and again, I mean, I talk to and I coach a lot of detailers, and here's one of the things I want to just tie into, especially for the new listeners who haven't heard me say this before. Be careful what you build because then you have to support it. And what I mean specifically on that, I learned that from one of my mentors is, right now you have to decide what you want your business to look like. I mean, do you want a multi-location? Like, do you want to be in every airport guy? I think I know the answer for no. But for people that are listening, you have to kind of determine that now. It doesn't have to be exact, but you got to get 80% on the right track of where
oh
you
yeah,
want to be and how you want to grow this thing. And then the question becomes, how long do you want to do it for? Like, do you want to have it in 10 years? Do you want to have it in 5 years, like reaching that next major milestone in your business, or do you want it in 5 months? That's one of the things that we talk about here at Big Money Detail all the time is we put you on the fast track to more profit. Like you could take 3 or 4 years to become profitable, or you could do it in 3 or 4 months. You decide. And I think that's the big thing that a lot of detailers have to decide. I'm not saying one way or the other is wrong, but in your case, you're on the fast track to more profit, more revenue, and serving more clients in the aviation space, which is fantastic.
thank
All
you.
right, next, anything else on that one, buddy?
No, that's it.
All right, good. So here's the next question, and this is I love this question because you can go anywhere you want with it.
Yeah.
If you had to pick one, tough one, it's hard. You got to pick one. If you had to pick one superpower, and I'd be like, Guy, what is your superpower? Like, dude, you are so good at it that you could wear a cape. What would be one superpower you have, whether in your business or it could be your personal life as well? But let's talk about your superpower.
Uh, man, if I could have one superpower, I'd just be able to, read minds. One of the things I hate, of like all things just lying. Think people just being, not truthful, and a lot of times in aviation, people are just, telling you the wrong thing, the lies, etc. And that's also in detailing too. I mean. No one really, I mean, when we look at this, right, there's very few people that want to see others succeed. So having people to tell you the truth and be able to know the truth is just so incredibly valuable. I wouldn't want super strength. I wouldn't want to be the fastest man or fly. I can already fly on my pilot's
Right,
license.
right, right.
But being able to, all discern between the lies and the truth all the time would be great. And that's just, I think it would help me know what's real and what's not real.
Yeah, that's good. So again, that you answered it on the other side of it, which is, man, what do superpower do you want to have? Like, dude, uh, again, tell me a little about your family. Tell me a little about you. I know your dad helps you a little bit, but tell me a little more about
Yep.
your family because I think I'm going to structure this question based on your answer.
Yeah, so I have a huge family, not immediate, but my broader scale. Um, my dad's side, starting my dad's side, 'cause that's really kind of where the aviation roots are. My great grandfather his name was Bob Matthews. He started a company called Matthews Buses, still active today, and it's actually in Rochester, New York. And so from there, he actually got into flying, got his license. My great grandmother got her a license,
Wow.
and they started flying across, the Northeast region of the United States, selling buses. And they had King Air, they had Dukes, they've had all different sorts of airplanes, and it was neat. It was really neat. And from there, my grandfather got into flying. He got his pilot's license and his instrument rating. And then from there, my dad, growing up around this whole aviation, community and family, he decided he didn't want to get into buses. He was like, busing is great, especially vehicles, and marine is all wonderful, but that's just not something he wanted to do. He wanted to fly, and he wanted to, because he saw like how amazing it was to be in control of an aircraft,
Yeah,
like that
man,
feeling in that sense.
that is
So
good.
he got his private when he was in high school, and then he got his instrument, his multi, and his CFI, and then from there he just kind of weaseled his way through, not like weasel like being sly or anything, but he just kind of worked his way through aviation, and from there he just became a corporal pilot.
That's good.
And the funny thing is he got his first corporate pilot flying job through having an Excel certification. He got hired because he was the only one that knew Excel back in the 1990s.
Look at
So
that. Well,
he
I could see based on that story where your passion comes from. And just so y'all know, before we started the recording of the podcast, I asked Guy, I said, he's the first, obviously, person that deals with aviation in the Big Money Detailer podcast, but it was his passion, the reason he wants the aviation. And if you think about that family line of going way back in generations of the passion that his whole family has had around aviation, it only makes sense for him to be in the space of serving folks that are in the aviation space. So that's fantastic. So here's the second part of that question. Obviously, there's skills, the knowledge you can gain on how to read people, right? Like you have a pretty good sense just in our short conversation. You know when someone's BSing you, you know when they're
Oh
not
yeah.
giving you the facts. So there's a lot of things you could do to try to lower that risk, right? But the specific question is like here on planet Earth right now, what is your superpower? Like you're really good at fill in the blank. Obviously, we'd all, especially guys, we would love to read minds, but we know that's one of those things that we really can't do. We could try to lower the risk of someone lying to us, but what's your real superpower for what you do in your business right now that you're really, really good at? Another way to ask the question is like you're pretty good at it and you're a humble guy, I can feel that. But what's one thing you're really good at that maybe you want to share with the listeners of what your superpower is in your business?
Yeah, so I'd say my biggest superpower or my biggest strength, if you want to call it that, is my faith.
There you
I'm
go.
a Christian, and I became a Christian my senior year of high school, and looking, I mean, we'll talk about this later, but seeing all the things I've had to endure and go through with this business and all my other business ventures, it wouldn't have been possible without God in my life and having a sense of morality, and a sense of meaning that's bigger than just myself, and just kind of be able to understand, how this world works through the lens of Christ has been just incredible, and it's helped me. I mean, the strength and the amount of resilience I've been able to, just have within myself.
Let's take a quick break. What if everything you've been told about getting referrals for your detailing business was completely wrong? Are you tired of chasing clients and wishing you had them running to you to use your services instead? Do you want to drive more profits for your detailing business? Forget everything you thought you knew about referrals. Go to bigmoneydetailer.com/referrals, and you'll discover how the affluent auto spa, Davy's Son's business, grew their referrals from 24% to 48%. That's right, they doubled their referrals, and you can too. Go to bigmoneydetailer.com/referrals right now.
Christ has been insane. I've been able to endure college, ROTC, this and other business. I mean, just all that I've been able to do. And people always ask me all the time, like, how do you do this? I went and taught on entrepreneurship at Liberty University, did a class there, and these kids were like, how do you manage all this?
Right.
How do you endure all this craziness? And I'm like, I mean, you can do anything through Christ. You just have to trust Him and abide in Him, and you need to, be obedient to Him. You got to follow and see where He wants you.
Yes,
And
sir.
if you do that, and if you, I mean, truly, truly, just remain disciplined, and stay strong. I mean, that's how you do it. And
That's
there's
good.
not a lot of strong and disciplined people out there because they're all taught to be lazy, unfortunately.
Yeah,
But
very true. Very true. Yeah, and as a matter of fact, as Christian men, we know there's no coincidences. There's no coincidence of you being on the Big Money Detailer podcast. We obviously have a message to share
yeah,
together. That's like we're going to talk about here is so here's the teaching point for the listeners, right? I'm going to talk marketing here, and then we're going to get back to Jesus Christ in a second. Not to put Jesus Christ second, but just for just for this part of the conversation. I'm waiting for the lightning to come down here. No, I think you know what I mean on that. We'll get to that in the second part of this, but here's the marketing lesson. And I get this sometimes, like Guy, I speak all over the country to other detailers and help them improve their business, increase their sales, their cash flow, and I help them boost their bottom line. And sometimes after my talk, I love to hang around and talk to the folks who've been in my session, and they say, you're all about the money.
yeah,
And and you know what? Yes, because here's why. If I didn't call this Big Money Detailer, okay, and I called it something more generic, okay, I'm speaking the name of the brand is Big Money Detailer because I know that more than 80% of the detailers want to make more money. They could do more with their church. They could do more with their charities. They could do more for their families. They could do more with a legacy. A lot of problems could be fixed with a stroke of a check. And I call it Big Money Detailer because I'm selling, catch the message here, I'm selling to what detailers want. Detailers want money. So it's called Big Money Detailer. Now, let's get back to what's underneath of that. Once I get them into my program and they realize I can help them with one of the F's, which is financial, okay? Then I can give them what they really need. They want big money. But once they come in, they get to meet Gail, they get to meet Dylan, our son who runs the Affluent Auto Spa, they get to meet Kevin, my older son. They realize I'm more than just about the money. I'm about the five F's. I'm about family, faith, financial, fitness, and fun. And that's what Guy just touched on. He touched on the fact that, yeah, we obviously have to make money in our business, Big Money Detailer as an example, but the foundation of what we're talking about here is you've got to be well-rounded in all those F's, not just the financial side. And obviously, faith plays a very big part in both of our lives. I don't know if you know, Guy, but I have a foundation called Pastor 360, and its mission is to make life and ministry better for pastors. And just one more quick bit on that. If you think you and I have challenging positions in our company, imagine the challenges that a pastor has. And I'll leave it at that. But again, no coincidence why we're chatting today. And I appreciate you, brother, for sharing your faith on the
thank
Big
you.
Money Detailer podcast because I think it's we need a lot more people to be introduced and have a relationship with Jesus. So, amen, brother. I appreciate that. All right, next question is this. How do you like what are some of the things you do to stay booked? And I know the aviation business is a little bit different, but maybe one or two ideas about how you stay booked, how you get those higher end jobs and those type of things.
So it's all about the type of clientele. It's kind of like you can relate this to cars. If you're just sticking with the private retail and you're just going after, clients with one car or two cars, right? You're not gonna see them again for another year or 6 months, right? Unless they're on a maintenance program. But for me, for example, I can't go and work with just the guys that have one airplane because that airplane I'm only gonna see probably every 6 months to a year. Um, who I try to work with and who I find consistent work through is charter companies and Part 91 corporate flight operations. Those guys need the airplanes constantly cleaned. The aircraft are constantly flying, and they have a higher appearance standard than the general aviation market does. So that's how I stay busy. And that's how I try to stay budgets through those guys. Trying to find the guys are flying more and more, right? So well, the one thing we do is uh, we constantly monitor the flight aware and other databases, seeing who's flying through our airports, who's flying through, and trying to see, what are they based here? Are they staying? Like, what's going on? Trying to get pull their information from the tail number and do this and that. But that's how we stay budgets through chasing business to business clientele. It's easier. It's a lot more recurring, and it gives us it helps us to stay constant.
Yeah, so key lesson again, Guy, man, you're right on the game here. I want to make sure we break it down. We have a lot of listeners who are just kind of getting into the detail space.
Yeah.
And look, I saw Dylan do it, our our son,
Yeah.
it's from a marketing perspective, okay? And again, let's do this again. Now, this time I'm going to not talk about the five F's because I talked about that, but this time I'm going to talk about the five parts of your business. You got marketing, which is your thumb. So marketing, sales, customer service, operations, getting paid. The thumb is the thickest, the strongest finger we have. It's the marketing engine that drives all the other components of the business. And what Guy just said is very important is I see, it kind of breaks my heart, but I see a lot of detailers, whether they're veterans or they're just starting out, they just throw spaghetti at the wall from a marketing perspective. And for my therapy today, I'm just going to rattle off a few things just to get it off my chest now that you brought up the conversation. Paid Facebook ads, paid Google ads, do Instagram ads, do more reels. I could go on and on. Oh, I'll get you more ceramic coating jobs. I mean, we get hammered all the time with these crazy butt text messages, either on email or on text. They're going to help you get more visitors to the website. They're going to help you get more ceramic coating jobs. And 90% of the time, it's BS, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
spaghetti at the wall doesn't work. Okay. And actually, what it does, it causes more frustration and it's just a bunch of money leaking out of your profit bucket. One of the things the guy said, he said a lot there. I want to break it down, though. I think the most important part was quality, not quantity. Quality of Guy doing the push ups, man. Guy is doing the hard work that works. He's doing the data. In my keynote talks, guy, I say this all the time: don't get mad, get data.
Yep.
Marketing has to be driven off data. It goes back to my 1980 solar calculator right here. The numbers don't lie. And one of the things you have to seriously consider is get very strategic and targeted in your marketing. Guy just said he looks at data for how many flights, how many people are flying, how many people. That's data that's helping him drive decisions. So, Guy, maybe a little more on that because I believe that is a very important part that kind of relates not only to the aviation space, but maybe a little more because if you didn't mention it earlier, Guy started detailing vehicles and he's kind of transitioned, but expand a little more on this data and how you use it in your marketing, brother. I think that's a great topic.
Yeah. So when we look at everything in aviation, everything's word of mouth. Aviation is a very niche and tight industry. So, and with very little overlap in the others. So when we look at this, we're not marketing just to everyone. We're marketing to specific clients. Kind of think of it almost like Amex, right? If you get an Amex card, right? Let's say you have like $1 million net worth and they offer you the platinum card, right? Or this and that. They are specifically marketing to you as an individual. It's a lot more personal and a lot more personal approach. So that's kind of how we do it because there's no point in us creating a whole bunch of different Canva ads and doing like you said, like the LinkedIn, advertisements for boosting ceramic coatings and this and that, right? What we do is really just kind of locating clients and then marketing to them directly and ensuring how we can help them in their specific aircraft.
Perfect.
And that saves us a ton of money and helps us, not waste time and really just make good use of our time. And like you said, it's about the quality of the clients, right? We're not chasing after a bunch of NetJets contracts or this and that. We are specifically looking towards certain clients, and I have my eyes on several. I mean, we look every day on the ramp and see what aircraft are consistently coming through Spirit of St. Louis Airport where we're located. We are constantly looking just all around, seeing for one big thing that's going on right now in St. Louis is the hangar developments. We've got hangars that are currently being built, so we're keeping eyes on tabs on all the aircraft that are going to start going and being hangared over there at the new hangar complex. So, I mean, there's just a lot of strategic things we do internally
Yeah.
to facilitate our operations and market strategically.
Beautiful. So we talked about the target market, right? Being very
Yeah.
specific in your marketing, right? Guy is very clear who his ideal client is. And also, I want to expand on that also because I believe there's two parts of this equation. The first is we just talked about it, Guy. Thanks for sharing, which is the whole idea of who's your target market, who's your ideal client. By the way, before I forget, your best client is the most educated. Okay, and there's like at Big Money Detail, we teach 100 different ways to market. But your best client is the person who is the most educated about what they want, right? That's the first thing. But also, the second part of that equation is you got to be very clear on what your service offering is. So, Guy, if you need me to help you along, because I know we talked about it before the recording, but you have to also be very clear as the business owner what services you're offering. So, expand on that if you don't mind.
Yeah, so we're not cleaners, we're detailers. And I say it because a lot of people go out there, as you know, in the automotive industry, they say they're detailers. Detailers is a very generalized term for a cleaner. It's a different level of cleaning. And so when I go with these people, they say, "Oh, like for example, the GA guys, right? They got a Cessna 172 or a PA 28. They'll be like, "Oh, well, I just wanted to get cleaned up." I'm like, "No, well, gotta help me out here, right? You gotta make sure that we are on the same page of what you're asking, right? So I'll tell them like, here's what we're using. This is a premium chemical that we're gonna be using on your aircraft. This is what it does. This is the benefits of that chemical, and this is what the result's gonna be. Do you want, is this what you really want, or do you want us to do this, which is a very less option, and it's not really gonna benefit your aircraft at all, and is going to really just be a money pit, right? So one of the things we do is we do client education. So when we go and list our services, we don't just go and say, "Oh, we're detailing this and that." We're like, "No, this is exactly what we're doing.
Right.
This is what we're only offering. We're not gonna dumb down to that level of quality that you want. This is what we do. And if you want to get that done, then go pay the guy with no insurance that uses sprayway glass cleaner,
There you
right?"
go.
And that's kind of how we operate. And I don't have the time nor the patience, unfortunately, those kinds of guys. I'm
Right.
respectful always to everyone I meet. I love meeting people and
Sure.
engaging. But one thing that I do not really tolerate at all from a client is the like, well, could you just do this for like $100? And
Yeah.
like,
Right.
I don't. That's not something I mess with. I'll customize package plans.
Yeah. Of
But when
course.
it comes to client education on that, I make sure that we are always on the same page. Because in
Nice.
the
I
past we
love it.
haven't.
That's good.
Uh,
So one follow up to that to really help the listeners understand why you have to really know what your service offering is. What is one service you do not offer on aircraft?
Uh, I'll give you two because they're kind of the same boat. Paint correction, ceramic coatings.
There you go. So let's
I
let's dive into that because I think this is important for not just the aviation space. And
yeah.
again, if you want to educate our listeners on why that is, please do that. But really, the teaching point for this conversation is more about being clear on what you want to do and what you're not going to do. And Guy just did a great job of outlining exactly what he's not going to do. He's not going to be Guy's discount detailer for aviation. He's already made that business decision in his mind. But go ahead and expand why you don't do ceramic coating and paint correction on aviation or aircrafts, I should say.
Yeah, so ceramic coatings, when I look at ceramic coatings for airplanes specifically, it is it's just not something that I see being really worthwhile. You've already got the
Let's take a quick break. We would love for you to take just a few seconds right now to share this episode with your detailing friends across your social media channels. Thanks for helping us build our big money detailer community. One last thing before we get back to this episode. Be sure to claim even more free business building strategies and techniques so you can continue to earn more and serve more. Go to bigmoneydetailer.com. And now, back to our podcast.
paint. The paint's already coated. It's got a clear coat on. It's already protected. The paint's pretty much already protected, right? There's no really point in putting additional coating on there, which is going to hurt the aerodynamics. Because when you think about like a car, right? Cars driving on the highway, it's not going to really, unless it's like a Ferrari or a race car, it's not going to really have an issue with the aerodynamics, right? But when you have an airplane that's traveling through the air at 3,000, 4,000 feet and 120 knots, right? That's a problem. And it also because that added drag is going to worsen the fuel flow,
Wow.
and it's going to cause issues for the aircraft owner. And you'll also, I mean, with ceramic coatings and paint correction, aircraft paint's really thin, and like I kind of mentioned, like it's just drag. You want it to be as smooth over the wing for smooth airflow, right? And it's kind of like think about it like this, right? When the airflow is going over the wing and underneath the wing, it's producing lift. So we don't want to disrupt that airflow over the wing because that's going to hurt the airspeed.
Yeah.
And the last thing you want is to have some sort of like, and this would take major, right? But you don't want to have like a rippled up coating or this or that to cause the aircraft to have issues,
Can't even imagine
especially in
what that
midair.
would be like.
And
Wow.
aircraft paint's really thin.
Yeah.
So when you really think about it, like when you're trying to do paint correction, you're trying to go in here
Oh man.
I mean, that can easily burn through the paint.
Yeah, I can tell you there's one thing that the Affluent Auto Spa is not going to be doing, at least in my lifetime and Dylan's lifetime, and he's obviously a heck of a lot younger than me, our son. That story right there makes you get very clear on what you're not going to do. And I can't even imagine the liability that come
Yeah.
with the ceramic piece. So, Guy, you're very smart to say, this is my swim lane. These are the things we do. And over here, these are the things we don't do. And I'm glad you're very clear on that. Okay, good. Anything else on that topic? That was a good education.
I would just say too is like I've seen people burn through paint.
Ah,
And when you think about aviation, this is just for all the detailers out there that think they can go do anything or clean anything. I'm going to be very direct to you and just saying that aviation and boats, especially too, is a whole different thing from cars.
yeah.
And though you may have a lot of success in cars and may do a fantastic and excellent job in cars, don't come in the airplanes thinking it's going to be the exact same and don't
Oh,
treat them
well,
as the exact
yeah.
same. And don't especially do without insurance. But aircraft paint, just for the audience is aware, is very, very thin. It is easy, you can easily burn through and mess it up. It is, I mean, on the lowest setting with like a buffer or some sort of power tool, I mean, it's like a pressure washer to like flaking paint.
Jeez.
And you don't want to mess with that. And I've seen people do that, and I've seen former detailers that have come work for me try to go start their own aircraft detailing company, do it, and the aircraft's,
Yeah.
and it's going to be down for 3 months and get paint.
Yikes.
So
Man, that's good stuff. That is
that's
a good
terrible.
education there for all of our listeners. And again, if you do pursue these other avenues, then again, let's go back to the first part of the podcast. The best investment you can make is in your own knowledge, skill, and ability. And don't be doing stuff. And I've heard similar stories on with our other guests, guy that have come on that do vehicles, where they watched. I'm not using names, but I'm just going to say that hypothetically, they watched a few YouTube videos. They went out, they used the buffer the wrong way, and guess what happened? The poop hit the fan. And think about their reputation at that point.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it without having the right training, the right certifications, the right knowledge, skill, and ability. Please don't go down those paths. There's so many detailers here in the United States, and there's more and more coming in. Guess what? There's just as many going out on the back end. All right, as we close down for the podcast, one other question for you. I think it would be great for our listeners for you to share your wisdom. And by the way, thanks for being a guest. You're
Of
very
course.
awesome in what you do. If you had to think back, like to one major challenge, problem, oh poop moment, whatever you want to categorize it in your mind, even when you were back 15, 16 years old starting out, what
Yep.
was one major thing that happened? And I'm more concerned about what you did about it. So if you can share maybe one or two of those type stories, that would be great.
So plane clean has had zero incidents since, starting. I never had to do a claim, never had to do anything like that. Um, I've had to deal with a lot of employee stuff in the past. So we are an independent contractor stuff in the past because we've not had employees, we've always had independent contractors just because it makes it a lot easier for the guys because they don't need the benefits and it's just a lot simpler that way.
Yeah, plus it's kind of sporadic schedule and all the stuff that comes with
It's
it. Yeah.
it's a lot easier to have them on 1099. But long story short, this is actually last March. We were detailing. It was a CJ2 for a client, and long story short, this guy was causing a lot of issues and what we're getting. But I try to be redemptive and I try to help guys out. A big thing about me is that like kind of like you are trying to mentor and help people. I try to help people as well. And so this guy was going through it a little bit, and I was trying to give him some work, and I even promote him and pay, even though he didn't deserve it, and trying to help him out. And well, this individual decided that he was not going to do his work, and decided to, he was running this job, and he decided to essentially leave the job and go into this company's. So this company had a gym in their hangar. Decided to go work out in the company's gym and decided to say, screw the detailing that I'm doing, screw the job I'm being paid for. I'm gonna go work out at company time. So the owner of the company saw him working out in their gym, as a non-employee, told him to leave. He was being disrespectful, and from there he kind of got forcibly told to leave, and then he went and decided to go and outside and continue his workout on the company property. So I found out 2 hours later about this. So I'm in Virginia, I'm on the phone figuring this out, et cetera, what actually happened. And they send me a surveillance video of what he was doing. So I gotta sit there as the owner of the company with reputation on the line because goes beyond damaging an aircraft, right? If you damage an aircraft, that's unfortunately that is better than this because this is just disrespect. You can always fix a damage to an aircraft. You can never really repair disrespect.
Yeah.
So when I had to sit through this, I was like, you know what? It was a lesson I learned, right? You can only give people so many chances.
Yeah.
And it was also a big thing for me is that realizing that with detailing and running a company, um, I can't be doing this, you know, from 1,600 miles away. And it worked for a long time. It worked, all last year, worked all 2024 and beginning of 2025. But going into, but it just started not working, and that's one of the things I realized is you can't be an absent leader in a business. You have to be at the forefront in person because I mean, just look at it military, for example, right? I'm an ROTC. If you have absent leadership that's not showing up and is not, directing you in person, is not, showing their face, that's a problem. That's how mutiny happens. That's how, insubordination happens, right? And when I was saying through this and reflecting first on myself, I saw that a lot of these issues were associated with my leadership and how I was conducting myself.
Good.
And though I was on the phone, though I was running everything, though I was always on top of things, I was not in person, and I should have been.
Yeah.
And
Man, there was a bunch of lessons in there for sure.
yeah,
Again, I appreciate you being open and really sharing that story. Just a couple takeaways there. Um, and then when I was younger, okay,
yep,
probably closer to your age, I had a vice president position where I had over 500 team members. And
yep,
unfortunately, like most businesses, I mean, there's a point where you have to let people go, whether it's a reduction in force, whether you have to terminate them. You can fill in whatever word the
yeah,
listeners can put any word in there they want. And I took that to heart, similar to you did, Guy, where it's like, man, I'm letting this person down. They got bills to pay, they got a family, they got a new kid, whatever it was, the situation. And for about a year or so, I kind of let that get to me. And then I realized what Guy said earlier. And I want to reiterate this point. I'm going to paraphrase it and give you my own spin to it. After that first year of being a leader, I realized that from that point forward, I never terminated anybody. They terminated themselves. And here's why. Because I learned that by laying out clear expectations, like even in the detailing business, okay, here's your checklist, here's your standard operating procedure. I'm giving you exactly what you need to be successful. Now, if you choose not to follow this, like in Guy's case with that particular individual, that person chose not to do what they were expected to do. So Guy didn't terminate them. Actually, they terminated themselves because Guy did a very good job of outlining exactly what was expected of that individual, and they decided not to. So for those of you folks that are kind of new leaders, that would be a key lesson to learn from Guy and I today is Guy and I. Sounds like a chemical or something. I'm going to put some Guy and I on there. Anyway, what you can learn from us today is this. Get that mindset of setting the clear expectations, giving them what they need to be successful, giving them the standard operating procedures, the checklists, and let them fly out of the nest. And if they choose not to follow those and you have to terminate them, remember that's not on you. That is actually on the individual. So with that, Guy, you've been a great guest. But before we wrap it up today, brother, just how can folks reach you? I recommend only the website, not phone numbers. You can maybe share some socials if you want, but website and maybe one or two socials, please.
yeah. All our socials are Plain Clean STL. This is PLANECLEAN STL. Instagram, Facebook, reach us there. Website too if you want to submit a form on the website. Love to talk to you, hear from you, and yeah.
Well, good. Well, guys, it's been great having you on the Big Money Detailer podcast. And again, we're not just about the financial side of it. We covered that earlier with the 5 F's. And also, the important thing to take away is it's not just about trying to figure this stuff out on your own. It's making sure you have the right mentors, the right people in place. Like for instance, when people come to my home training center, which is upstairs, we break these things down for your detailing business. We help you with your marketing, your sales, your customer service, your operations, getting paid, and you shorten your learning curve like Guy did earlier. He talked about that in the podcast. Is the more you can shorten your learning curve, the less stress, the less pressure you have on yourself, and the more money you can make so you can earn more and you can serve more. So until next time, I'm Davey Tyberski, the founder of BigMoneyDetailer.com and also known as America's Chief Profit Officer, and I'll see you on the other side. Bye-bye.
Congratulations and thank you for joining us for this episode. Discover even more strategies and tips on how to increase your detailing sales revenue, improve your cash flow, and boost your bottom line. Go to bigmoneydetailer.com right now.